Welcome to the Healing Hour for March 13th, 2018. This is Tyhson Banighen, the Illuminator, bringing light to you and the planet. I'm with you for the next hour, and we're standing by to take your toll-free call, 1-866-369-7464. And my co-anchor for today is Janet Charette, a traveling Theta Healer who's traveled down the neighborhood to say hello to some little ones. And so she's having an adventure there. So we may have to have her leave the show periodically and come back if things get a little bit too noisy. So the topic for today is really synchronicity and the fact that we have, both of us, started the Letting Go book club only to find out that we're letting go of whatever the Letting Go book club is. So it's been really quite a fascinating experience as we've made this shift in consciousness as we both let go. The other aspect is understanding what Wu Wei, effortless effort, is all about. What does that mean? How can you do effortless effort? So all this is contrary to the normal way that we're told to show up on planet Earth, and that is that we need to get to work, we need to put our head down, we need to work, put her head down and grind it out. So I have no idea, other than the fact that that doesn't work anymore. And I have another phone ringing, but we're going to ignore that one for now. All right, so we're standing by here for your toll-free call, 1-866-369-7464. And just to open up the show and talk a bit about the Healing Hour. So what's been happening for you in that regard? We were talking a bit about this morning about just, it's almost like waking up and what was before is no longer the way it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Sort of, I guess it was around in November to come across, like I had to decide I wanted to know. There was a lot of sadness and things I needed to let go of, and I've always found Sunnybury a really beautiful place to get grounded, and so had no idea how I was gonna. Knew that I needed a place where I would be able to land and have friends that were there that would be able to hold space and just guide me and be okay with me doing what I needed to do, which I had no idea what it was. And so it was a fun adventure learning all these really cool tools like taking the pendulum and taking my power and the 21-day clearing and all these things we were doing and all sorts of stuff to just get me grounded and landed. And I think part of it was just the empty nest. Like now that my kids grow, and I didn't push them out of the nest; they kind of pushed mom out of the nest. So now it took me a couple of months, and it's like, wow, this is fun. Like I'm responsible for anybody but me. Like I truly am free to choose stuff. So part of the letting go for me is letting go of having to micromanage all the time, and letting go about what's the next step, and letting go of like being okay with not knowing, and figuring, like when we were talking about synchronicity, the one thing that has been showing up over the last 4 or 5 months for me is the more that I relax and the more that I just like really let go of happen. And
Well, you let go so much you disappear. So while Janet is gone, It's interesting what she's saying about the fact of letting go. When you do let go about trying to make things work in your life, and you allow yourself to show up, then there is the synchronicity that begins to happen for us almost automatically or spontaneously. So here she is. She's back again, and we'll see if we can add her to the broadcast. So here goes. So welcome back to the show. You let go so much, you disappeared.
I think so. Yeah, it's like, and I'm not. I'm in the space there as long as I breathe and as long as I stay grounded, like, and as long as I open my heart to receive even more, then things are showing up that are way more fun than I could have ever imagined. And yeah, so it's been quite the experience. I would have never, like, I've heard all these people talk about the Letting Go book, let it go, and oh, it's this book and it really changed my life and all that. But until I think you just have to get the concept, and once you do, it's like, wow, it's very freeing. So that's sort of what happened to you, or?
Yeah, it very much so. It's like getting ready to do the Letting Go book club, and how am I going to do this, and how to get people attracted to wanting to play with us, and starting to read the book, and for the first time beginning to have it actually happen in my life, where the letting go was the only option that was possible. Basically it was coming down with the flu and having absolutely no energy whatsoever to do other than what one had in front of oneself. And then by doing what was in front of myself, I found I was getting more done than when I used to do it differently. So it became a fascination. Wow, this letting go is really powerful stuff. You stop thinking about what you need to get done, and you just do what's in front of you. And then one thing just synchronistically flows into the other. And it was just as simple as that. And to be quite frank, I don't want to go back to the way it was. So I'd rather do absolutely nothing and meditate than try and figure out what needs to be done. So I'm spending a lot more time meditating, listening to my guidance, which is primarily the aspect of letting go, for the next best step to show up without any effort. So we're ready and willing for you to step up and show up on this show. It seems to be pretty quiet out there in the last couple of weeks, so I don't know what's happening. Maybe everybody else is so much letting go that even showing up for the show isn't relevant for them anymore. Who knows? But there's definitely been shifts all across with the clients that I've been working with, major change and transformation planetary-wise. So if you'd like to talk about that or get a sense of what's you're letting go or like to let go of in your life, or if you'd like to answer any questions about dowsing or energy healing, or if you'd like to pose a question or receive a clearing, feel free to phone in toll free, 1-866-369-7464, and it's on the screen. So, yeah, let's letting go. It really is very much like the Tao concept that I was reading about today, which is called the Wu Wei, which is no action, which doesn't mean that nothing happens. And in fact, letting go doesn't mean that nothing happens either. It just means that any preconceived idea of what should happen is let go of. With no action, it just, in letting go, other possibilities, other synchronicities are allowed to show up. So we translated from Chinese means no action or actionless action. This is considered the natural way to do things, or the Tao, as opposed to striving, opposing, and forcing, as well as lollygagging or succumbing to complete inertia. So yeah, we're not talking about doing nothing. We're not talking about just lying around smoking dope and doing nothing. We're talking about actively being a participant in the universe, but not trying to make the universe unfold in any way, shape, or form, but rather showing up to be in harmony with the universe, to discover what the universe is delivering today, synchronistically. It's sort of like, it's sort of like just showing up and discovering what today is going to bring. So,
Yeah. Well, that's like yeah.
Go ahead.
They call it. We're on now. Okay, we're here. We've shown up, right? But we don't know who's going to call, when they're going to call, what's going to happen. But there's this trust that it's all going to happen just the way it's meant to happen. Is that kind of what you mean by the letting go part?
Yeah, and and nothing happens in the way that we think it should happen. That's okay too. So, for example, maybe nobody phones in today, but maybe somebody listens to the show after the fact and gets to have an ahas as well. So, while we'd love for people to be phoning in and we'd love to have an active show, maybe that's not what's being presented in the divine flow today. So it's really letting go of trying to be the orchestra of the energy that's showing up in your life. It just means that you show up and be in the flow, the divine flow, and don't push it, and see what comes out of that. So it needs not to be confused with doing nothing. I mean, this is absolutely, it's like doing nothing is just sitting around and expecting something to happen to you. This is more of an interactive process of being so present in the moment, so aware of the potentialities that each moment offers, that then you're ready and willing to deal with the synchronicity as it arrives. So here we are, waiting for a toll-free call that's not happening. So the person doesn't waste energy, though, and moves only when the time is right, when we do Wu Wei. So it's sort of like, sort of like doing Tai Chi in every bit of your life, whereas, we're not wasting energy trying to make something happen, but we're at the right time, at the right place for the right thing to happen, if it's the right moment for something to happen. So, go ahead.
I got two questions. Like one, I'm thinking it's kind of like when you're going to do your surfing the wave. Like you're on the board and you're ready for the wave to come. If you're going to stand up and the wave's not there, it's not going to happen. It's getting ready for the timing to be right. So that was the first concept I was thinking. But the other concept is that like sometimes we're a wave and sometimes we're a particle. So most of the time in the Wu Wei, would that be like we're just being a wave? And then when it's time, we have to, we actualize and we do particle stuff? Or?
Yeah, I think that's a great description. I mean, Writing the Zambui is a book that is done by the Time Avatar, which is really describes that whole process of riding the wave is like just being at the right time in the right place to step onto that wave. And as you're right, and when you step on that board or stand up and catch the wave, you are all of a sudden, you and the wave become one. And so the particle and the wave make this dance together, right? But the waves are endless waves until you choose the wave that you want to ride. So there's endless possibilities that are being offered. It's what is the right time and the right place to know when is the right wave. So that's the synchronicity, and it's sort of like the guidance of being so in tune with what's happening that you say, this is it. This is the one. This is the wave I'm going to take, or this is the action that feels so blissful, so effortlessly that you step into it and the whole wave carries you. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. There was another concept too that The other concept that I've been reading about is like, okay, like say you wanted to climb up something, like if say you were on your own building, okay, you could only get to the roof. That's as high as you could go. So like you might be coming to a place where you have a ceiling, okay, and but if you let go of being on your roof and you move to a mountain, then you can go higher, or because there's a place for you to go higher, like so sometimes when you have, like the universe might be saying no, or you can't go there because you can't get higher from where you are. You need to let go and go somewhere else so you can get to the next level. That was a concept I had heard about lately too, that I kind of liked.
Well, let's go back to the Wu Wei because it's sort of interesting because there's actually 5 concepts to it. So the first one is, number one, no action. No action doesn't mean nothing happens. So we talked about that. And the second one is the cosmos is not working against you. It's actually working with you. So it says we're sandwiched between heaven and earth. We are heaven and earth. To practice Wu Wei, we must first realize that we are connected to the oneness of all things. Though we should have clear boundaries like children given free rein to run and play within the confines of a beautiful park, we should remain open to the vulnerability and the lessons this may teach us. Once we are open and protected, we can begin to observe nature and embrace universal energy as it ebbs and flows. From there, we learn when to move with that energy, ebbing and flowing with our own action in accordance with the oneness of all things. An immense sense of freedom comes from knowing we don't have to fight against the cosmos, and understanding that there is never that the cosmos is never working against us. Only we can choose to work against its flow. So there you are. So so the Tao Te Ching says, free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. So that's something what Bhamaram Das said too. He said, desire is the creator, but also the desire is the trap. So again, the desire allows you that opportunity to step into the truth of the flow, right? But if you have so much desire, you'll miss the opportunity of when it's the right time to step into the flow. So that's the second principle. The cosmos is not working against you, it's actually working with you.
Yeah.
So that's the second
the whole
aspect.
thing about, so it's kind of like pain and suffering. Like pain's inevitable, suffering's optional. So if you're attached to the outcome and how it's going to show up, then you can get disappointed. But if you're just going with like the flow and the feeling, then okay, it'll show up in a different way and in a way that you might not even be able to imagine it. Like it just, once the desire actually limits the way things are going to have to show up for you to be happy. And if by letting go of the attachment of how it's going to work out, then there's so many more choices that open up. Like that's how I understand it.
Yeah, and the other way of thinking about it is similarly, is that an emotion sets up, say somebody criticizes you out of the blue. It's not something that you were expecting. Well, then you have a choice. You can react to it and get caught up in it, or you can let go of it. So the letting go would look like something like this. So you've been criticized. So you learn from what's you can from the criticism. If there's something valuable for you to learn, then you learn that and then you let it go. So it's the same with praise. So if somebody praises you, there may be something that you could learn from that, but you let that go. So that's basically what Krishnamurti says. Praise or blame makes no difference. Learn what you can and let the rest go. So that's letting go. Whatever shows up in your life is okay with you. It's not as though you're dull to what's showing up, or that you don't care. It's just that you're not overwhelmed by it. You just learn from the motion. You don't try and ignore it or stuff it down or work it through, or you just step into it and learn what you can and let it go. Sort of like, oh, there's the wave. What can I learn from that wave? And then you let it go. It dissipates. And so that's what letting go is all about.
Yeah. There's a really cool tool in Access Consciousness. When you go, whoa, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. So, well, something happens and you have a reaction. You don't really judge it. You just go like, whoa, where'd that come from? That's interesting that's how I feel. And then you do what you said, like you learn from it, and then you just let go of that point of view if it's not serving you. So, yeah, it's cool.
This is the beauty of letting go, is that they're all like notes on a piano, and some are white and some are, black, and some are, but we don't judge them. They're just notes. They make up the symphony of life, or the symphony of the sphere. It's all music, and what can be discordant in one note can be harmonious in the next note, and they're all juxtaposed to each other. So rather than getting our shirt in a knot over an emotion, we just say, wow, that's interesting. I'm having an interesting reaction to that. I'm feeling regret or loss or pain or suffering, but there it is. And now I recognize, as soon as I recognize it and identify it, the emotion, it immediately changes the emotion. It no longer can stay the same. It's when we get caught up in the emotion and get overwhelmed, like being buried by the wave of the emotion, that we get lost in the wave, right? We're no longer on top of the wave. We're buried by the wave. So this is really what the book Letting Go and the book club's all about, is bringing together a group of people that wants to talk about these things and learn from each other and process what emotions that show up in case, in one of those cases, we may get stuck, or it may be so overwhelming that we get, sucked into the wave and we're lost, and we're sort of like grinding along the bottom of the seabed rather than on top of the wave. Sometimes we need somebody to sort of reach in and grab us and pull us back to the surface, so we can remember that we're supposed to be riding the wave, not be overwhelmed by the wave. So I'm going to go back to the 5 secrets of the Wu Wei, and I'm curious to see what the next one is. So the first one we did was no action doesn't mean nothing happens. In fact, lots happens. We're just in the right place at the right time to be able to participate with that action and not be overwhelmed by the wave. The second one was the cosmos is not working against it. In fact, it's a benevolent energy. And then when we step into that with benevolence, we're greeted with benevolence and we're supported as we move forward. So the third one is physical action is not the only action. So another principle of Wu Wei involves quieting the every busy mind, the mind chatter. Even if we aren't doing anything physically, often our minds are busier than ever. Wu Wei means that we are not only quiet the mind in its actions, but we aim to quiet the mind. Otherwise, we'll have no idea if we are in the universal flow or simply acting busy out of the need of the ego we so obsessively align ourselves with. Yeah, so being busy, pretending that you're getting somewhere is one of the biggest, almost procrastinations, I would say. It's the illusion that if somehow I'm busy, I'm doing something, I'm getting somewhere. When in actual fact, busy ego-bound work really isn't getting you anywhere at all. It's consuming time. It's making you feel like you're accomplishing something. But in actual fact, if you're not doing it in the flow of the divine, in the moment, then it's not getting you anywhere. It's just like trying to tread water on top of the wave and feeling that, even though the wave is bobbing underneath you, that you're getting somewhere, and you're not. You're just bouncing up and down like a cork. So then it goes on to say, even with our meditation practice, we are encouraged not to try too hard. Perhaps you've seen a mind game that has been installed at several museums around the U.S. Two people sit across from one another and attach headphones equipped with electrodes to themselves. Between the players are a group of balls that can only be moved with the brainwaves, measured as electromagnetic currents through the headband. If a player maintains a steady state of relaxed calm, essentially a combination of alpha and theta waves produced by the brain, when it's relaxed, then the ball moves up a tube and is placed in a bin. The players with the most ball wins after a certain period of time commences. Those who try too hard fail, as do those who don't try hard enough. The combination of alpha and theta waves created by Wu Wei mind is what wins the game. And I would say it wins the game of life every time. So that sounds pretty interesting, Janet.
Yeah, I have a really good example of how that happened to me in my life. When I first started to learn to meditate, all I needed to do was called sit still and do nothing. And I needed to learn how to just sit still, do nothing. If I had a thought, just not dwell on the thought go. So about the first or second time I ever did that, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of sit still and do nothing, I totally changed my life. Because like when the monkey mind's going, am I doing things right? Am I doing things right? Am I doing things right? But when I sat down and I was really, really quiet, it was like, am I doing the right? And just by taking that half hour of really getting clear, I chose to retire. It was that fast. And it was just being able to quiet the mind. But before that, it's just like, like, oh, what committee am I doing, and all that. And it's really amazing what you're talking about, the no doing that. That was my example.
I mean, we were talking about that this morning, whereas when you came here to do, a live-in experience and work with me, there was this huge agenda that you had, what you wanted to do. You wanted to be able to land. You wanted to be in your body. You wanted to get healthy. You wanted to do this, and you wanted to launch programs, and you wanted to be able to teach. And there was a huge list, and we talked about this morning. And you said, when we talked about, well, do we need to do any more coaching? And you said, well, and I said, well, what do you want to do? And you said, well, I really don't know. In other words, it was like the slate had been wiped clean. It's like there was no need to be doing anything other than showing up. And the fact that you have shown up and are present in the moment, that's all that needs to happen. And then synchronicity can occur. So now you're visiting friends. You get to play with two young children, and you're going to have a lot of fun. And there was nothing to plan and no struggle. It just seemed to be the logical next fun thing to do. And this is a way that one's life can unfold rather than trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out. The other example that you had discovered was that, doing the long journey from the mind to your heart, which was using the mind brain and hooking yourself up to the heart monitor and learning what it was like when your monkey mind was trying to figure things out, and what it was like when you quieted your mind and was in your heart, how the synchronicity of being in your heart allowed you to calm down. And the more that you were in the heart, the calmer you were, and the closer you are to that synchronistic alignment of your heart chakra and the heart of Mother Earth and the heart of the sun and the heart of the galaxy, and the heartbeat all the way up and all the way down. When we're one with that heartbeat, which is what the heart monitor process teaches us, which is in our breath. When we steal our breath and breathe slowly and rhythmically, we make the descent from our head, from our monkey mind, into our heart, and then we're on the wave of potentiality. So that's another thing. So for those that are listening to the call, and if you want to explore the heart math, a process of how to make that journey from your head to your heart, if you want to actually hook yourself up to a heart monitor, it's a great way to learn what it is to get out of your head and get in your body and reside and operate from your heart. So I'm going to go back now and look at the next of the 5 secrets of the Wu Wei, or the 5 steps. I think we did 3, which was physical action isn't the only action. And number 4 is being at one with the Tao means accepting change. Yeah, change is the only constant, is change itself, right? That you can't step into the same river, like Heraclita said. You know, as soon as you put your foot in, it's a different river. So the change is always happening around us. You can't change the change. So it's that you are the change, you are the flow. The key principle in Taoism and the practice of Wu Wei involves that the realization that there is an unceasing flow of change in nature. This change is governed by the laws which are unalterable and rarely perceived except by the most consciously evolved individuals. Fighting these laws of change would be a Herculean task. Would you like to try and stop the changing of the seasons or the rise and fall of the sun to the horizon? Once you observe this flow of change in nature, you can apply principles of Wu Wei to your own transformation. Since you are part and parcel of nature, you will change accordingly. Why not move with that change instead of fighting against it? Perhaps you can even welcome change the next time it arrives at your doorstep. So the quote says, returning to the source is stillness, which is the way of nature. The way of nature is unchanging. Knowing constancy is insight. From Lao Tzu. So returning to the source is stillness. So when you quiet your mind, you're dwelling in that tranquility, you're in your heart. It's the same as the way that nature is. And you are now in balance and in harmony with nature. The way of nature is unchanging. Knowing constancy is insight. Now, it's interesting because that's a dualistic statement. Nature is always changing. It's never static. And that is the unchanging part of nature, is that it's constantly changing. And once you accept that, then the unchanging no longer becomes something that you get overwhelmed in. You just watch it ebb and flow like the tide or the flowing of the river that flows past you. You and it just become one. So that's the 4th principle of Wu Wei. And the last one is true Wu Wei involves purposeless wandering. It's interesting. We have Janet here, who's a wandering Theta practitioner here. So all those that wander are not necessarily lost. So Zhangzi refers to a type of being in the world that many of us have never considered. He calls it flowing, or more poetically, purposeless wandering. Most of our cultural values frown upon this type of being. If we have no purpose, we are often deemed pathological in the context of modern societal living. Yet it would be difficult to maintain that our current values have promoted harmony and balance either environmentally or for each other. In Shangzhen's basic writings, he states, you could use the analogy of an artist or craftsman. The skilled wordcover, the skilled swimmer, does not ponder or rationalize on the course of action he should take. His skill has become so much a part of him that he merely acts instinctively or spontaneously without knowing why and achieves success. So that's like being in the zone. Michael Jordan doesn't think about dunking the ball. Michael Jordan's doing it as 100,000 hours of practice. When Michael Jordan goes to dunk the ball, he's in the zone. It's effortless grace. It's based on all the nerve fibers at the end of his fingers and his ability to soar through time and space and dunk that ball. He's not thinking about anything. He's just being and doing. And that's the effortlessness that we're talking about, the purposeless wandering. He further describes an enlightened person as being one who wanders through creation, enjoying its delights without ever becoming attached to any one part of it. Well, that's a huge jump for us in our culture and our way of being.
Yeah, I have a friend, Leslie Feger. His motto is like relish and revere, contribute, relish, and revere. Yeah, and it's kind of that kind of a thing. Like you're just flowing and you're relishing and revering the sacredness of the moment. And when it's time, you can contribute. Like I think that's the biggest change for me over the last couple of months, Tyson. Before it was like, whoa, I want everybody to know about theta healing. There's so many cool tools out there, but like I've really let go of the part that to chase the people, to teach them. When I just happen to be at the place, or it's kind of like they say when the student's ready, the teacher shows up, and then it's like, whoa, this person really wants to know. Well, I got lots of time. I'd be happy to share, and it's such an amazing difference because the person is really meant to learn. And yeah, so it's like that purposely. Like I would say, my to follow my heart. Like my journey's to follow my heart, and my quest is just to keep my heart open. Okay, and the people, and like my marketing would be, creators going to send me the people that are meant to learn from me, and it doesn't have to be any more effort than that. So it's really working out really well for me. I really like it that way.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So, well, it's very quiet on the Western Front. We do have one heart from somebody showing up here. So from Mimi Cole. And so Mimi, if you have any questions, you could just type in the question in Facebook and we'll be able to answer it for you. Or you could be brave and phone in toll free. The number's on the screen. It's 1-866-369-7464. And yeah, and share your heart. Thank you for your little heart. Much appreciated. It's nice to know that somebody out there is listening to our non-active, non-struggle participation in sharing the concept of Wu Wei, the concept of synchronicity, being in the right place at the right time, and also kicking off the letting go process, the letting go book club, where we can learn how to make this an active part of each other's lives to support the divine flow that we're part of, so everybody can move up the ladder of consciousness that David Hawkins talks about in his book, so that we move from the lower vibrational frequencies that trap and ensnare us in doubt, shame, guilt, fear, and all those lesser emotions, particularly when we don't process them and we allow them to be stuck in our body, which leads to disease and disorder. And as we climb the ladder and deal with these emotions and are gentle with ourselves, we then move up the ladder and come to courage. And at the point of courage, we are now gaining energy in our lives rather losing energy in our lives. So our emotions no longer are eating us alive, leading to disease and disorder, but with courage and neutrality, we move forward into willingness, acceptance, and reason, love, joy, and peace, and on into enlightenment. So if this is a journey that you'd like to participate with us, we'd love to have you. The journey of the path of letting go as we move towards both individual and collective enlightenment. We'd love for you to join us on that journey, and the link will be in the show notes here of how to click through and join us. It's $33 a month. There will be a dialogue that we'll have between Janet and I for each one of the different chapters in the book, starting with the prologue, about the sorts of things that we're learning and sharing on this program to give you a feeling about how this book, and even making the decision to do this book club, has literally changed our lives. We are no longer the same as when we had this intention of doing this work together. For that, it's quite exciting. So I think that that's about what I wanted to say for today's show. How about you, Janet? Any other pearls of wisdom?
Nothing that can't be done another day, that's for sure.
All right. So, yeah, for all those questions that you've been asking in the Dowsing and Energy Healing Facebook group about clearings, personal and individually and collectively, and buildings and everything, we're not going to do it on today's call. It's not because we don't want to do it, but we want to encourage you to also do it not only for yourselves, but for each other. So if you head over to the Dowsing Energy Healing closed Facebook group and you look under the files, you'll see that you can download the latest short clearing protocol, and it shows you in open and closed brackets exactly where you fill in the blanks for you to do your own clearing of what no longer serves you in your life. So I really encourage you to do that. And when people request that there be a clearing of a property, that when you see it on the closed Facebook page, please take a moment to just clear it on behalf of the person who's requesting that clearing. And so I think that's it for now. Until next week, we encourage you to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And hopefully you're going to join us in the letting go, so we can learn how to let go even more than we are. So until then, bye for now.
Okay. See ya.
The Healing Hour. Join us every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Feel free to phone in toll-free in North America, 1-866-369-7464 or 1-866-DOWSING. Phone in to get your questions about dowsing and energy healing answered, and also to receive an energy healing. The Healing Hour is produced on Facebook Live through the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy Facebook page. It's also produced by The Wellness Show, www.thewellnessshow.ca. And so until next week, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise.